Welcome to Sipping with Maria and Tika Gee. We got to pay these bills, so let go. Here's a word from our sponsors. Anchor has tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. When hosted on Anchor, you can distribute your podcast on listening platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more.
It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. And best of all, Anchor is totally free.
Whoop whoop!
Boop! Download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Today. Welcome to Sipping with Maria and Tika Gee, where we do not talk about politics, religions, or celebrities. We feel like there are enough vlogs, and other podcasts that talk about that stuff. Last week, Thursday, January 6th, we aired our first episode to our first season, Relationships. We picked this title because it's something everyone can relate to. We're not just talking about couples. We'll be talking about other types of relationships. For example, the parent-child relationship, the in-law relationships, the brothers and sisters relationship. The list goes on and on and on. Our first episode was actually a question, and the question was, how long should you date before moving in together? And my, oh my, the questions that we had were amazing. Mainly from the men, but it was still good. This week, our follow-up question to that is, what is the reasonable time to date before getting married? Or how long should you live together before getting married? We always want to hear from you. Tika, what answers did you get so far for that question?
Hey,
Hey.
once again, the men have showed up and showed out. Okay, answering these questions. So for this week, the men pretty much. Okay, I'll go majority first. Majority said 2 to 3 years for either being together, getting married, or moving in together and then getting married. 2 to 3 years was my average. Now, let's talk about the different, I'm not going to call anything negative. I'm just going to say a little different answers. I got one from a male, and he said, women let men use them anyway. So what's the difference? Whether you marry them or not.
And remember when we had a question earlier, that was my thing. What's the difference from me just being in a committed relationship with you versus being married with you? You're still going to do the same thing you were doing before. Correct me if I'm wrong, So I don't know. Some people are just comfortable without being married at all, but just because you don't want to be married does not make you a bad person, does not mean, oh, I don't want to be married. I just want to, since I don't want to be married, that means I want to just sleep around with everybody. No, that's not the case. Some people, like myself, I said if I wasn't married by 30, I wasn't getting married. And that's just my opinion. That was my cutoff line. That was my time frame. And it is what it is. You either can accept it or not. We also have a guest on the show today. Corey, say hi.
Hello, everybody. How do?
Y'all like not to almost have a podcast last week because of our technical difficulties. But we ain't going to talk about that right now. Hey, Corey, how you doing?
I'm doing well, and yourself?
I am good. Now, you and Tika are married or have been married. And I want to ask you this question, Corey. How long did you wait before you got married?
Yeah. I got married to my husband. I waited, it was 3 years before we got married. We got together in 2011, got married in 2014. Is that 3 years? Yeah.
Okay. And Tika's was 2 years before she got married. I guess, see, and again, there's really no, in my opinion, once again, there's no time frame or how long that you should wait. I have met people who have dated for 6 years, got married, and separated within a year in their marriage. I have also met people or know people who met on Monday, got married on Friday, and still married 30 years later. So I guess it doesn't matter how long you're together for you to stay together or to get married. You just go with the flow. How do you how do you feel about that, Tika?
Yeah, I think it should always go with the flow. Once you start introducing that pressure, I think that it creates a strain and it creates a problem in a relationship. And if you go into it but not having, not talking about expectations, in the beginning, like, hi, I know we're together, we're getting to know each other, now we're together, now we're, moving in, but I do have an expectation on one day, I do want to get married. How do you feel about that? And the person, can answer, they could tell you in the beginning, like, no, I've actually never planned on getting married. And then that gives you a chance to say, oh, okay, well, thank you. This relationship is not for me, learning lesson. But because some people do have that goal in their life, that they have that in their life's plan, and I know things don't always go to plan, but some people really do, and they're sticking to it, and once there's a person that says, I do not want to be included in that plan, well, then, that's a good way of saying, well, thank you, and, we had our relationship, but, I'm going to move on and try to find that person that wants to be included in that plan. You cannot force anyone to be with you, and you can't hold anybody hostage. That's that's not the way it's supposed to be. No prisoners in relationship. So have people have a way out.
I agree with that. Well, I don't know. I can't relate. Hold on. Yeah, I can't relate. I have not, been married. Y'all can excuse my noise in the back.
Hey, it's just, you're just being real. I have animals as well, fur babies, and they'll take over the show. How about that?
Basically, because they think they're so cute. And I'm telling y'all now, I'm not editing them out either. So this is real recording.
Yes, real. We are real as it gets, and you guys will see that as time goes on.
Yeah.
This is about real life things.
I don't have them problems with my dog.
Don't nobody care.
Oh, you don't?
No, my babies are quiet.
They clean.
Yeah. They're quiet.
Oh.
They know better.
Oh, wow.
Mine trained too. They just be showing off sometimes.
So what do you guys think about the people that have the expectation and then someone that doesn't? Do you think that it is fair for them to say, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and go? Or do you think that some people hang in there and say, maybe they'll change their mind, and then as years goes on, that person never changes their mind? And the reason why I'm asking is because when someone had answered the question, the other different answer was that they've been hanging on and they know that it's just not going to happen. They are not going to get that proposal. They are not going to get married. So it's like, why are they hanging in there?
That's the problem that I have with a lot of people now. If Corey, I'm gonna use you and I as an example. If you ask me to marry you, and I already told you that's not what I'm looking for. I don't want to meet. We can be together forever and ever. Amen. We can be in a committed relationship without being married. I don't want to get married. And then you got people in your ear. Well, maybe you can woo her over or woo him over, and then 15 years done passed by and we still in the same situation. That's not my fault. That's your fault, because I already told you that's not what I wanted. And I say that to say this: people have a habit of trying to change people. Oh, he or she ain't gonna do that with me. I bet you I can do this, and I bet you I can do that. And then at the end of the day, you get the wah wah. So listen to people when people tell you things. This is not what I want. I want to do it, but I do admit sometimes it does changes, but don't expect it. Let's say that. Don't expect it. If somebody tell you something, then that's what it is. Don't expect for it to change just because you are who you are and you feel like, well, I want to be with this person. I'm going to be with this person. We've been together 10 years. He or she ain't going away. They going to marry me. And you can't make nobody be with you, just like you stated earlier. So you either go with the flow, or y'all need to revisit that. And if it ain't what you want it to be, then you have a decision to make.
Yeah, I agree. I went into my marriage, my relationship, like I said before, I don't know if I said this in the last podcast or whatever. I was a little older than my ex-husband at the time, and when they say love at first sight, nobody really believes that until it really hits you in the face. I got attached very quick. And going into my relationship, I was a little older, and I was like, okay, I don't have time for the high school games anymore because I'm getting older. I was getting ready to push in my 30s. So I don't have time for the games anymore. And then like I said, he had just freshly turned 21. So he had asked me to make it official, and I was like, you know what, let me sleep on this. It took me about a day to sleep on it, and I was like, yeah, we can do this. I went into it with expectations. As time went on, we grew closer and closer to each other, and I fell in love with this person, not knowing that I can fall in love with somebody or fall that hard until life really hit me in the face, when things got real and my marriage started trickling down. I went into it with expectations. This is who I'm going to be with for the remainder of my life. Throughout the years, I saw, you start seeing things like red flags, and you try to fix it, but the more you fix it, the worse the situation, relationship gets, or whatever. After my marriage started trickling down, it was like I was there physically, but mentally and emotionally, I left my marriage, but I was still there physically, if I'm making sense.
Yeah. Yes.
He had did some things that were very unforgivable or whatever, and the crazy part, after everything he did to me, when we finally split up or whatever, I still wanted my husband, because wanted my marriage. That's how bad I cherished my marriage and valued him and wanted everything to work. I fought for my marriage or whatever. And like I said, I never knew that I could love somebody that hard. And it broke my heart. And I wouldn't wish that type of hurt on my worst enemy because it hurt that bad. Reality hit when we split, and this was my first time in my own place by myself in 10, 11 years. I don't know what the hell am I going to do? I have nobody to sit there, look forward to coming home to, nobody to tell jokes with, nobody to cuddle with. None of that stuff. Everything was thrown away, thrown out the window, or whatever.
How do you feel about marriage now?
How I feel about marriage now, after I can't do it.
I mean, does it change you or change your outlook on it? Or when you move on to a different person, you realize that that's a different person, a different relationship, and you just move on. Like some people, naturally just harbor feelings and keep those feelings going, and then some people release it and be like, okay, this is a different person, different relationship, let me see how this is gonna work out. And then it might lead to another marriage, it might not, but then once again, I guess I've talked to people, they be like, well, how many marriages am I going to have? I'm not, I honestly know people that are on their third or fourth marriage, and they're like, well, I can't judge every marriage. I fall in love, I get married, and I'll pray to God that's gonna work out.
To be honest, I can't do it no more. I had made a promise to myself that I can't do it no more. I had invested too many years in this person, and it was like I was just a pit stop until you found what you were looking for. But I can go into detail. I can get deep with this story all day. Because my ex-husband still keeps in contact with me. Okay? And granted, people have questioned me and asked me, well, why do you keep in contact with him after with everything that he's done to you? I can't
do you see that as toxic, or you actually want him to keep in contact?
You know what, Tika? I still love. I can't lie to myself. I'm still in love with my husband. I am. However, I know he's still doing the same. He's still doing the same stupid stuff that he was doing when we were together. So it's like every time when I talk to him or whatever, and he tell me his issues, and in my back of my mind, I'm like, okay, you still doing the same stupid stuff. I'm glad I don't have to deal with that anymore. That's where I get to a place when he feeds me his problems. He was very toxic. He was very toxic, and he was emotionally damaged, and suffered from things that stemmed from his childhood up until his adulthood. And I was the type of person, he suffered from a high level of depression and still does. And I would, we married or whatever, even when we weren't married, Tika, I would be like, okay, let's go get us some help. I would never put anything in perspective like, let's go get you some help. I would always say, we need to go get some help. Let us go get some help. You know what I'm saying? It was like he would go get the help, talk to somebody, because it's only so much that I can do. When somebody suffers from depression like that, it's so much that I can do. So he would go and get help, and like 1, 2, or 3 days, he'd go see the person for like 2, 3 days. This ain't working. I'm like, come on, dude. It's not fair to me. You know, I'm a very private person. I don't, tell what goes on in my household. And our marriage had got to the point where I just couldn't take it anymore. I wouldn't say so much that I was telling our business, but I just needed to vent. I think there's a difference between venting and going back and telling your business or what goes on in your household. And it was to the point that I reached out to family members. And it was like, I'm like, I need help with your brother. It's tearing me down. It's tearing him down. It's messing our marriage up. I just need some help with him, please. I was begging for help, and I never did that. And it was like when I did that, what I said was just, whatever. That's your husband. He ain't our problem. He your problem. Deal with it. That's what it was. You know what I'm saying? And it got to a point where a lot of disrespect started coming. So it's like I observe people very well. I'm a very good observer, and I'm a good judge of character with people. So as time went on, or whatever, close to the end of us, our breakdown in our marriage, it's like he just started getting very disrespectful, like very disrespectful. And this when I couldn't take it. I'm like, we going back and forth arguing more than normal. I'm like, something's not right. Something's not right. Who is getting in your ear and getting in your head, feeding you things? You got your friends and you got your family members. What are you going back telling them?
Yeah, because that does happen in relationships and marriages. Like, people will get in your ear and start telling you, what they believe is right and what they believe is wrong. And some of them not even knowing what is going on. Like
right. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
Oh no, I'm just saying, and it's not, and some people do believe that what they're saying is appropriate. You know what I mean? They be like, okay, I'm really telling you something here, and I'm trying to give you some knowledge, but it really don't be knowledge. It just be, something that's really gonna put a wedge in that relationship.
And it was crazy because he was telling people, I put him in a categorize him as a narcissist.
Narcissists are very hard.
It's no changing in them. So it's
it's impossible because there's
when I'm doing wrong, when I'm doing wrong, it was easy for him to come and tell me, hey, excuse my language, you messing up,
right,
blah 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 this and blah blah this. But me being me and the mature person I am, I'm not going to interrupt you. I'm gonna let you have the floor. But when it's my turn, I expect the same respect. So when it came for me to tell him about himself, he would do a whole 360 on me and make me sit back and be like, what the hell did I just do? Made it seem like everything was my fault. He would not take accountability for nothing he did. He would blame all his problems on somebody else. And it wasn't fair. He would go around telling people lies about me. I wasn't doing this and I wasn't doing that. I was a contributor to the household to make himself look good. I was the monster, but he was making himself look good. And you actually had people that were believing him.
Yes, and that's a true narcissist.
Yes, and I found myself defending myself because I was not used to that. This is my husband. If it was somebody else out in the street or somebody, I wouldn't even gave a damn. You can say what you want to say about me, but this is my husband talking trash about me behind my back like this. And I'm like, what have I ever done to you to make you even go this route? I have been there for you. You know, I have did things for you that people wouldn't dare to do. You know, I'm the only
Right.
one. I'm the only one in your corner right now, dude. And then to this day, you guys, we've been split for 2.5 years. I still get phone calls. Speaking of, you just called me yesterday. You know, I get phone calls asking me for money. And this has been the ongoing thing since we split on asking for money, you know. And it's been times that I, gave in because I felt sorry for him or whatever. You know, it's like you asking me for money, but back when we were together, you were telling people I wasn't worth a damn. I didn't have money. I didn't want to get up and go to work or whatever. But see, the tables turned real quick. And you asked me for money. I have not asked my husband for a dime since we split. Why? Because I feel I don't have any business asking you for anything
Right.
at all. You know, and people tell me like, well, they're like, y'all still married. You know, if anything happened to him, you can be the first one they call. And I say, okay, I'm fine with that. But I've also been asked, you have to forgive what he put you through. You have to forgive yourself first. I don't even think I've forgiven myself. I don't think it's like, it's times where I forgive him and then he'll do something to piss me off again. And I'm like, nah, you know, but.
Yeah, but I do want you to forgive yourself.
Right.
You know, you have to forgive yourself before you could even forgive anybody else. But I want you to, forgive yourself. Yes, you were, you're a loving person. You love your husband, and when all was said and done, and it was not working out, you still have to look at yourself and say, I forgive myself, for you to be able to forgive him and move on, because he's going to be who he is. You can't control that.
Right.
So yeah, he's always going to be who he is, and he, and do what he's going to do. And but with you understand who you are, and you know that you can choose to make changes or not, but you have to forgive yourself, and just and control your actions from there, because people will learn you, and they will learn your habits, such as in relationships. People would learn, they learn you, and they know what buttons to push, so
yeah. And I don't share this with nobody but the people that are close to me. And the main reason why everything fell apart or whatever is because my husband, who I love dearly, and I still love him, not gonna lie, I still love him, who I love dearly and fell in love with, he gave me something that I can't get rid of. And it had me in the hospital, not knowing what was going on. He didn't show, when I was in the hospital, he didn't show any sense of, what's the word I'm looking for? It was like he didn't care. He was just there. He was just there to say he was there. I ended up in the hospital not knowing what was wrong. I was so stressed out at work. It was affecting my work or whatever. I'm already a quiet person, but people had noticed my attitude change or whatever. I was like too quiet or whatever like that. It got to the point where I had breaking points at work. I don't be doing that. I don't be crying at work.
right.
They say whatever's going on outside, don't bring it to work. It's hard, but if somebody told me stress will kill you, I would have not believed them because I was stressed. I was stressed. I had lost a massive amount of weight, not knowing what was going on with me. I was in the hospital for a week. My doctor had asked me. He was like, when he said, no, he said, how long has you and your spouse been together? And I forget what it was. What I told him that it was some years at the time. It's probably like 9 years at the time. And he was like, okay. And he was like, I want you to get tested. You know, I was in the hospital. I was in denial. So, you know, I said I didn't want to get tested. Okay. I leave the hospital, go home. Probably about another month in, my symptoms started coming back, but they didn't hit me tenfold like they did the first time. I just felt it coming back on me. That's when I ended up going to my primary doctor or whatever, and I did a test. It was on a weekend. I did a test or whatever, and I got my results Sunday because, you know, they got these apps now where you get your results quick.
Yes.
I read my results, and all I could do was just bust out crying. That's all I could do was just bust out crying.
But did he ever say why he had suggested the test, or he just...
Who you talking about? The doctor at the hospital at the time?
Like, did he?
Because Tika, I don't know if he said why because they couldn't figure out what was going on with me. I don't know. They couldn't figure out what was going on with me. I had so much, my potassium had went down. Everything had shut down in my body. And they were like, we surprised you still alive. They said, because your potassium level is low as hell.
Yeah, and people don't even realize how important potassium is until that thing go haywire,
right,
and go down or something. Yeah, and people don't. I don't think people realize that, you know, you will be put in the hospital sometimes just for your potassium. You know, it seems like something that you're not really thinking about. Like, oh, I'm not like potassium. Like what?
Right,
yeah.
And I could tell you how many bags of potassium they put me on, and that was one thing I was fighting with, because after they weren't going to let me go home until my potassium got to a certain number, point blank. With that, I think the doctor he suggested it because I guess they couldn't figure out what was going on with me. They done did so many tests, did this and that, kept poking me and doing all this. And other time they diagnosed me with something, but you know, at the end, the HIV is what it really was. So
and did you feel that you, at the time, did that bring you did that take you further apart from him because you were angry, or was that something that you felt like, okay, well, this shock, this news, you know, is making me making me want to be held, making me want to be consoled in this, because this is a serious thing, you know, this is life changing.
Yeah, it made me angry. I really needed somebody at the time. I had so many emotions going through me, and it sent my anxiety to the roof. When I mentioned it to him, he was at work. He was just coming from work, and I said, we need to have a talk. And he was like, what's going on? About what? He had already had an idea what it was, but tried to play, you know, stupid. I went home and I just bust out crying again. And I'm the type of person, I don't show my emotions in front of nobody, or try not to in front of
Right.
nobody at all. And I sat there and I asked my husband, I said, have you been cheating on me, and how long you been doing this behind my back? He told me, he looked me right in my face and told me, I only cheated on you one time. And right there, I just, all my feelings just came out. It's to the point I scared myself. All my feelings came out or whatever. And I said, you're lying to me. Just tell me the truth. And he was like, I'm so sorry or whatever. And when I told him I was positive, I could still see his facial expression to this day. His facial expression read, I fucked up. He had an I fucked up facial expression on his face.
Wow. I mean, I can imagine. But then at the same time, you also said that, he has the characteristics of a narcissist. So sometimes, even when they hear news like that, it's more like, in the beginning, they might say, oh man, and then try to help you out. But then it's like a turntable.
Yes.
The tables turn. And then you're like, what in the world? I'm trying to talk to you here. You know what I'm saying? And that can create more stress on you, and we all know that stress affects your health, so
and in my opinion, the more stress comes when your family member know what you're doing, or your so-called family members know what you're doing, and y'all smiling in my face while this man is doing this to me. And then once we break up, that's when y'all tell me all the dirt he was doing. In my opinion, that's some fake, phony ass shit. So what I do, what did I tell you? I told you, leave them motherfuckers alone. They not your damn friend. They know what this man
that's what was
is
going
doing,
on behind my back,
and they allow it. And Corey looking at me was like, how you know this is going on? Pay attention to the conversations that they're having. They knew that they've been knew this shit was going on.
And I had to leave. I left them alone, and all they can do like, all they can do is kept apologizing to me, because I told them how I felt. And if you call us your so-called family, you don't sit there and entertain what my husband is coming back to telling you. My thought, no, you don't come and tell us nothing. You having problems with your husband, you go and talk to him. Don't talk to us. That's how I see stuff.
Right.
Exactly.
But they thrived off the drama, and it was entertaining for them. And it was so crazy that that set of people, they told me, well, after me and my husband broke up, they told me, well, he came to the house one day with his shirt all ripped up and everything, talking about he just finished engaging in sex and group sex activity with people. He can't go home with his clothes looking like this. So y'all knew this, and then y'all smiling in my face, and I'm out here looking stupid.
Right, and that is very hurtful. Even from
and that makes you heartless.
For me, yes, for me, and then I'm sure all the listeners, outside looking in, that is very, very hurtful, and it makes you feel angry. And want to, of course, you go through a series of emotions, but anger, it does.
Yeah, and
talk about the anger, and because that is very hurtful, and it is the way you're describing. What happened is like on purpose type of situation, because people knew about it, knew what he was doing, and and I know sometimes people don't want to give somebody the heads up, but there's a difference. There's a difference. Because some people be like, "Oh, girl, I ain't say nothing because shoot, what does it change?" Or some women have told me that they've lost friends saying something, telling them that. And some men have told me that too. I've lost friends when I went back and told them something, I went back and told them what I saw, and they said, yeah, okay, you're trying to keep me from my man or whatever. You're trying, and that's not the case. You know what I'm saying? So, but sometimes people are do things on purpose. And it is to, wait for your reaction so they can sit back, have something to talk about, and laugh and kiki and whatever, and at your expense.
I have definitely been in that situation where I tried to quote unquote protect someone that I thought was my friend, and the way she turned on me was like, you just jealous, you just mad because you ain't got no man, we good, it's none of your business. But it becomes my business because you made it my business when you came and talked to me about it and asked me my opinion. So you're not just going through this by yourself. We're going through this together because you made it my business. Now, you stop being my friend because anybody that know me knows I'm very outspoken. I'm going to voice my opinion, whether you like it or not. That's who I am. You say you like real, but when you get real, there's a problem. Excuse me. So we stopped being friends, or she stopped being my friend because she felt like I was meddling, but that wasn't the case. The case was I was protecting her. Hey, a couple of months later, guess who calling me boo-hooing? The same person that told me to stay out their business. So when it comes to my friends and their relationships, they talk to me, I do not get involved. I don't.
Yeah, because there's a stopping point that, I've learned my lesson. Even when I physically saw the person cheating on them and things like that, and went back and said, hey, this is the situation. This is what happened. And she turned on me, but then, then at the end, she said, you know what? You were right. Months later, she, said you were right. I looked through his phone, and there's quite a few things going on there, and you were right,
But
and I don't know why I turned on you, but even with that, with her, coming back, and then she had apologized, I still have not done it again. I say, well, because I remember that situation, because she had just went completely off, or maybe she was just like, trying to compensate and say, and trying to tell me off, but then in the back of her mind, she's like, dang, Tika is, right, or she saw something, or I've been suspecting something. She didn't want to admit that then. But she
until the relationship ended.
Yes,
and then you was her best friend, her sister, and she
wanted to cry.
Yeah, thank you for looking out on me. I should have listened. Yeah. Been in a few of those. It's sad. It's sad but true, and that's how it goes. Corey, I'm sorry, that you went through that.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know what to do, because it's like, I still love him and I still talk to him. I mean, I don't know. People can call me a fool. People can say I'm stupid. I just, what it is about him that I can't let go, because if it was somebody else, I would have been let them go.
And that's how I feel about my relationship. Yeah, if it was somebody else, that shit. But because when you have history with somebody, you ain't got time to.
And I still have soul ties.
Right, to try to get to know somebody and to start over.
Yeah. I think that's where I disagree, because history is history. I don't. I just can't. I cannot. I cannot with history.
And then the sad part with that.
History just causes me to remember,
right.
Remember the history is in that book, and that book is closed, baby. So yeah, no, I cannot. I don't do. I don't history. I don't. It doesn't bother me. I was like, oh yeah, I knew that person for 15 years. Okay, yeah. And that's that 15-year book right there that's collecting dust on the shelf. Yeah,
And I have learned you can know somebody all their life and still don't know them.
Yes, and that is very true. But somebody, Maria G, somebody did answer the question like that. They said, what's the point of having a time limit on, when you're dating someone or, getting to marry them or things like that? They could say it could be a day. They said, what's the point of having a time limit on something when people change? They said people change all the time. So
Exactly.
so they're like, so what's the point of having a time frame?
Right.
And I said, okay, good answer.
And to go back to our title, how long should you wait or how long should you date before getting married? Based off Google, you should wait a minimum of a year after you start dating before considering moving in together. That's one.
Mhm.
They say that you should wait, but 2 years is a better span of time. For the smoothest transaction, you should want to know exactly what you're getting into before moving in. You should know how your significant other lives. And I agree with that. With some of that. Now, that was from Google. Now, for far as moving in when you're getting married, they say once you move in, about 4 years is a good time before you get married. Do y'all agree with that?
Say that one more time.
Yeah, one more game.
They said 4 years. Sorry, y'all. I don't know why I'm trying to get a cold.
You better
Google
not be.
said 4 years. I don't go nowhere. I stay in the house. Google said 4 years is a good time to wait before getting married.
Yes, yeah. I mean, that's a reasonable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a reasonable thing. And that some people come from different avenues of life, and they have, you have to bring two lives together. And sometimes it could take a minute, for the marriage to actually happen. Some people really do have to get some things in order.
Well,
I know a man. He had a 6-month-old and had, was him and the person were not together when she got pregnant. It was just a thing, they had sex and she ended up pregnant. But even with the 6 month, he met someone after that he really wanted to be with, and he could see himself marrying, but it still was a point of trying to prepare all of that situation, and it did take some time because I had to take care of all, like, a lot of expenses. There's a lot of things were going on at that time before he could really come together with somebody in a union and say, okay, I want to marry this person. So sometimes things are just different with everyone where they're at in life. And when you have to merge those two lives together, sometimes it's just like, this is not at the right time.
I found some more information based off Dr. Ann Keener. He has a PhD. He's a licensed psychotherapist, a couples therapist, and an author of She Comes First. Suggests that 1 or 2 years is often a good amount of time to date before getting engaged. So I guess to go back to Google, I guess if you wait 2 years to get engaged, then you have that additional 2 years before you get married. So I'm assuming 4 years is about the right time to wait before you get married. But there's people who waited longer than that to get married or prefer not to get married at all.
Yeah, true.
So again,
that is extremely true, and it does, depend on you as a person and where you're at in life and what you want to do and how you, and how you and that person agree to be together. You guys both have to agree,
Right. So again, this is one of those questions that doesn't have a right or wrong answer. Some people believe in love at first sight. You meet on Monday, you get married on Tuesday. Some people feel that they need more time to get to know the person. They need to live with the person before they can